So today I'm going to show you how to make a BN style body kit for any mod or any car in BeamNG.drive. So this is pretty easy, but the first step you need to do is unpack the mod, which is actually really simple. All you have to do is go to mods, find the mod that you're trying to unpack, click unpack. That's it. That's literally it. Now once it's unpacked, you need to open up Blender. Once you're in Blender, delete the default cube and go to File, Import, Collida.dae, and find your mods folder. Now your mods folder, it should be this file path right here, which I will copy and paste in your description. That's only if you download it on your C drive. So go to this file path, go to Unpacked, and find the name of your mod. Go to Vehicles, another name of your mod, and find the .dae file. With some mods it varies, like some mods have multiple .dae files, but just try to find the one that has like the main thing or everything. And once you import it, you'll see what it has. Once it's imported, this is where the 3D modeling begins. So what you're going to want to do is select the body parts they're going to add the kit to, which for me is the bumper, side skirts, and the front bumper. Sometimes it's like in a weird position, like as you can see the bumper's down here. Don't worry about that, just select like the stock bumper. Once you have it selected, you're going to duplicate them by clicking Shift and D. Now that I have it duplicated, I'm gonna right click to cancel moving it, and I'm gonna click slash on my keyboard. Now what you wanna do is you wanna rename everything. To rename something, all you have to do is select it and click F2 on your keyboard. And rename it to something like, well, first of all, delete the .001, and then I'll put underscore BN underscore kits, and do that to everything else. Now we can start actually 3D modeling. Now 3D modeling, it might be a little bit complicated and look scary, but don't be afraid, because it's just a BN kit and it's pretty simple. So I'm going to start with the side skirts. Now what I want to do, I want to center my camera on it by clicking period on your numpad, and then I'm going to click tab to go into edit mode. Now first things first, I'm going to delete this right side because I'm going to mirror it anyway. So in order to do that, hold Z and then move your cursor to wireframe and let go. What this wireframe view is, it's basically just like an X-ray. It lets you select vertices through each other. So I'm gonna just select this whole side and delete it by clicking delete. And select vertices. Now you have it deleted, you can hold Z and put it back to solid. So now what you wanna do is you're gonna wanna center your camera on the left side skirt. So in order to do that, I'm just gonna select it, which you can go in wireframe mode again and select it. Or you can just click A and then click period on your numpad again. Now we can actually start. So the first thing I want to do, I want to make this like bottom basically like extend out. So in order to do that, I'm going to select this whole bottom line by holding Alt and clicking it. And sometimes it depends on the mod that you're doing it to. You might select like everything around it. So you could just click on this, which puts it in like the front view. Go in wireframe mode and click C. And then middle click, like hold middle click to deselect the vertices. But be careful not to deselect it right here, because remember it's in wireframe mode, which is like an X-ray. And if you go in solid mode, you'll see that that's just the bottom right here. And you don't want to deselect that. So just move your camera around and deselect it again by clicking C and holding middle click. And do the same thing on this side. And now you have the whole bottom selected. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna extrude it down, and in order to extrude, you gotta click E. So click E, and then you can just right click, because it's gonna move it like in a weird position. It's not gonna be perfectly straight, and you want it perfectly straight obviously. So right click to cancel the movement, go into like any view you want. I'm just gonna go in side view because it's easier to see, and click G, which moves it, and then C, which moves it on the Z axis. So now I'm just moving it down. Now that's done, you can see that it doesn't really look like a BN kit. It's just kind of like going down, which BN kits, they go outwards. So in order to recreate that, I'm gonna go in my front view. Now what you wanna do is you wanna turn on your snap, put it on vertex, and just select all these, move, rotate, and scale. And hold shift and right click to move your 3D cursor. And I just want to move it on like one of these vertices. So I'm gonna hold control, and then that's gonna snap it to these vertices. The 3D cursor is basically just like a point where all the vertices orbit around. So like if I rotate it, it's gonna rotate it around the 3D cursor. Now in order to activate that though, I have to go up here and click on 3D cursor. So now everything, as you can see, will orbit around the 3D cursor. So now what you want to do is you want to scale it outwards. So in order to do that, click S, which is the key for scaling something. And you don't want to just scale it like normally because it's just going to scale all over the place. It's not going to scale only in one direction. You want to click X, which scales it on the X axis. And I just want to get like, you know, good shape in. So I'm just going to scale it that much, maybe. It looks kind of big right now, but I'm going to move these vertices outwards too. So that's looking pretty good so far. I mean, not really, but it's getting there. So now what you want to do is you want to select all these vertices. See where it's kind of like inwards a little bit. You want to select all those vertices that's in, and want to do the same thing to them to make them come out. So a trick to selecting them that can help you select them faster is holding control, and it basically selects them like along a line. So it's like an imaginary line that selects it across, so you don't have to select every single vertex separately. Now once you have it selected, once again go into your front view and then scale it on the X-axis by clicking S and X. And just scale it until it looks like it's pretty good. Maybe a little more. Yeah. Now do the same thing to this part too, and just keep doing it until you have that shape you want. And once again, all I'm doing is selecting it, holding control, so it's like it selects it along the line, and then clicking the other side. And that is really fast for selecting it. I learned that pretty late. I wish I knew this like a long time ago, because that would have been so useful. So that's really good to know in the future. Now as you can see, it has that slant, but it's not really how I wanted it. It comes out too much. And you can move each of these separately back in, obviously, but that's gonna take a long time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna select this whole thing by going to my wireframe view and then clicking and dragging to select this whole thing right here. Also make sure you're on box select. And I'm just gonna click G, which moves vertices, and I'm gonna move it along the X axis. And it's gonna move it in until it's looking pretty good. And you can go back in solid view in order to see how it looks. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Also a tip, if you want to see how it looks without all these vertices around, you could just click tab to go back into object mode, so you can really see that curve. And I can see that over here it's not really how I want it, so I'm gonna adjust this. So I'm selecting the vertices, I'm clicking G to move them, and I'm moving them along the axis that I want, which is the X-axis. And I'm just gonna move it in like a little bit. Same with this one. And you can hold shift to select multiple vertices at the same time, by the way. Another tip is if you want to move it slowly, because in some occasions it'll just move like too much. So in order to move it slowly, just hold shift, and it's going to be much less sensitive movements. Now sometimes I might want to scale something, and obviously it's going to scale it around that 3D cursor. In order to scale it around the center of all the things that I've selected, go over here and put it back to median point. Now once I scale something, it's just going to be around the center of everything I've selected. So I'm going to scale it a little bit this way so it gets smoother. Now right here, I want to scale it outwards more because it's not really coming out far enough. So what I want to do, I'm just going to move the 3D cursor right here by holding shift and right click and holding control to snap it. Oops. Alright. So now once I scale it, it'll be around this 3D cursor. But don't forget, you have to put it on 3D cursor mode. So now once I scale it, it'll be around the 3D cursor. And I'm just gonna scale it on the X-axis and make it come out like a little bit more. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, now once you have the basic shape that you want and you know it's looking pretty good, what you want to do is you want to fix the shading, which as you can see, it looks pretty weird on this corner. The corners are supposed to be sharp, not like this plasticky, weird looking mess. So it's a really easy fix. All you have to do is go to modifier properties, which is right here, this little wrench. Add modifier, weighted normal, and keep sharp. Now with some 3D models, auto smooth isn't already on. For this one it was, but if not on, it'll show this. So go to object data properties and turn on auto smooth. Don't adjust this, you don't really need to. And then now this should work. Now, as you can see, it didn't really do nothing. That's because you have to label like the vertices that you want to keep sharp. So in order to do that, go back into edit mode. Go to edge select. This is like the selection for edges and stuff. So you can select these lines right here, as you can see. And just select every single like edge that's supposed to be sharp. Like for example, this is smoothed out, even though it's supposed to be sharp. I want to select that. Now you right click and then mark sharp. Now it's not sharp no more. And if there is some that's sharp when it's not supposed to be, like this one right here, just select it and right click and clear sharp. And same with this one. And you can do it for multiple vertices at a time too. So I'm just gonna select these right here and then right click and then mark sharp. And then I'm gonna do the same thing right here. And it's surprisingly simple and easy to do, but it makes a huge difference. And without it, I would not go far with making these body kits at all. You kind of need it, so make sure you get it down. Another tip is be careful not to accidentally click on mark scene, because if you do, it'll show this like red line thing. If you do click on accident, just click clear scene and it'll go away and put on mark sharp. It's just a common, you know, accident that we all make sometimes. Now with some 3D models, there might be some vertices that are not connected or vertices all over the place. So for example, this vertex right here is real close to this, but it's not even connected when it should be. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select this one and then hold shift and select the other one and then click M on your keyboard and then click at last. What this does, this merges it at the last vertex that you have selected. So if I select like this one and then select this one last and then do it, it's going to merge it at the last one that, you know, I have selected obviously. So let me do the same thing right here. Let me just merge these in, because as you can see with some 3D models, they have bad, it's called topology, and yeah, you don't want like that gap there. It's completely unnecessary to have one there, but I don't know, some people just suck at making 3D models. So just merge it. And sometimes when you're merging, it might remove the mark sharp, so all you have to do is just go back into vertex select and mark it sharp again. Now once you're done with pretty much everything, you're gonna want to create that little curve at the bottom, because all these kits, they have like a little curve. They're not just like, you know, robots or something. They're just a sharp cut. They all tend to have a curve. So in order to do that, I'm gonna hold Alt and select the whole bottom. And let me go and vertex select. So that, what I did is selected the whole bottom. Sometimes it'll select a little bit on the top, so just deselect the ones that you don't want to have selected. So now what you're going to want to do is you want to extrude them inwards. So I'm just going to click E to extrude. Now it's going to move all over the place again. I'm just going to right click. And this time I'm going to take it off of 3D cursor because I don't want to scale it around the 3D cursor. And I'm just going to scale it Well, let me go in the bottom view. Now what you're gonna want to do is you want to like extrude it inwards, so it's like, you know, something right here. But you can do that by clicking E to extrude, and it's gonna move it all over the place, which you don't want, obviously. So right click, and I want to like make it, you know, make like some sort of flat shape down here. So I'm gonna go in my bottom view, and since I extruded it, it created like some more vertices. So I can just click S, and then I'm gonna extrude it, scale it on the Y-axis, and then boom. I'm gonna move my 3D cursor right here, put it on 3D cursor, scale it on the X-axis, and now that's looking pretty good. Now I'm just gonna move it up a little, just so it can like look better. Yeah. As you can see, this edge right here, it looks pretty ugly because it's just sharp and jagged, which you don't want. So in order to fix that, go into edit mode by clicking tab, hold Alt and select the edge that you want to modify. Sometimes it won't always select it perfectly, so I just suggest selecting it manually by clicking it and holding Control. Now once you have it selected, click Control B, which is a bevel, and scroll up to have more lines inside your bevel, which that looks pretty good because I don't want it to be too dense. And yeah, that's pretty good right there. And now as you can see, it created a beveled edge, so now it's not just like a sharp jagged edge anymore. Now that I have it beveled, as you can see, it's like, you know, smooth beveled edge, which is what I want. The only thing is having some weird shading issues, and in order to fix that, all you need to do is go into edit mode again and just do the mark sharp thing over again. So I'm just gonna select all these and not mark them sharp because they're not supposed to be. Same thing for this, and right here, and this right here, this edge, I want it to be sharp, so I'm just gonna select it and then mark it as sharp and do it on the other side. And that's looking pretty good. The only thing is on the bottom it's still marked sharp, so let me clear that. Okay, that looked like it came out pretty good. Only thing is, as you can see, this edge right here, I'm not really liking how it's marked sharp and stuff. On most BeamNG kits, it's like smoothed out and beveled. So I'm just gonna do the same thing that I did right here to that. So select the edge I'm gonna do it to, and I'm gonna do Control B to bevel. And while I have them selected, I might as well just right click and then clear sharp, so I don't have to select them myself. And then just do this. Now as you can see, in some areas it kind of messed up, which is common, but let me show you how to fix it. So first I'm just going to move my camera on it because it's kind of in an awkward position. And you can move your camera by holding shift and the middle click to move it. So I'm just going to move it right here. Right. So as you can see, this vertex is like protruding outwards for some reason. All you want to do is just double click G, which slides the vertices along the edge, and I'll just slide them. And some of these you want to merge too, like these. Now the only thing about sliding these vertices is that now you have multiple vertices inside of each other, which you really don't want because it'll create weird shading issues again. So in order to fix that, all I'm going to do is select all, just to make sure that it does it for any vertices that might be inside of each other. I'm going to click M and by distance. What this does is merges everything, like all the vertices by distance. So if they're like right inside of each other, obviously the distance is really close. It will just merge them together. So it merged these together. So now it's not multiple vertices. So on this side it did that weird thing again. So I'm just going to fix it the same way I fixed it on the other side. So I'm just going to slide these vertices together. Now sometimes the vertex might be hidden behind something, so just go into wireframe mode by holding Z and then hover your mouse over the wireframe and letting Z go. Now you can see diversity, and you can do whatever you need to do with it. So that's pretty much it for making your kit. Now, the only thing is, there might be some issues like this, where it's still not smooth, obviously. So what you want to do is you want to go into edit mode, select all by clicking A, go into face select mode, and right click and click shade smooth. Now that fixes everything that's flat, which what I mean by flat is that if you go into shade flat, it's going to have all the lines and stuff, all the vertices, you don't see it, which looks really, well, it doesn't look ugly, it just looks low poly. So just shade it smooth and you're good. And that's pretty much it. Another tip is, for example, as you can see right here, it's like a little bulge or something that's poking out. And you don't always have to do anything in edit mode. There's another mode called scope mode. So what I'm going to do to this bulge, which might be easier for beginners, so I'm just going to click on flatten, or you can use smooth too. I'm just going to enable my camera. And let me just like flatten it out. Sometimes you might need to crank the strength up. Well, it's still not really working, so just go to smooth. Yeah, now it's working. So now I'm done. As you can see, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit, like a tiny bit weird, but it don't really matter. You're not gonna see it. Now, that's pretty much it for this whole side skirt. And obviously it's only one side skirt, so let me show you how to duplicate it to the other side. So first go into edit mode and move your 3D cursor to the world origin by holding shift and S, and then hovering over world origin and letting it go. Now your 3D cursor is in world origin, so make sure that you have 3D cursor selected over here, and select all by clicking A, and then doing shift D, which duplicates. And it's going to move it a little bit, so just right click to cancel the movement, and then doing scaling, which is S on the X axis, and then just do it by -1, which that just flips it. So if you're scaling anything, -1 just flips it, no matter what axis it's on. And then click enter, and there you go. Now you have it on this side. Now there's one thing that's really key that you won't notice in Blender, I mean, unless if you turn a certain setting on. And if I import this in the game right now, this side skirt is going to be invisible from this angle, which I can't really explain it. It's better for me to show you. So there's a way you can see it in Blender too, by making sure that you're in solid view, which you can change by holding Z and then putting it on solid, and then going over here and turning on backface culling. Backface culling in a lot of games, they have this turned on basically, because it saves rendering both sides of a texture or a material. But it means that in Blender you have to change everything, obviously, because if you just export this right now, it's going to be invisible like this, and you do not want that. So in order to fix it, just select all and then click shift N. What this does is automatically fixes it for you. And depending on the 3D model, it might not work perfectly, so you can change that by clicking inside, which makes it inside out. And if it's like some of it is good and some of it's bad, you can go here to face select mode and select the faces that you want to flip, and then click shift N again, but this time selecting inside so it's flipped. But that's only if some of the faces aren't facing the right way. But for me, it worked perfectly fine. So now I'm basically done with the side skirts really. So that's really it. There's only one more thing you have to do until you can import it in the game, which you don't really have to do it, but it works better for collisions and stuff, is select all and then clicking Control T, which just turns everything that's like a quad or, you know, rectangle. Like if I undo it, this is a quad or rectangle. There's no triangles in there or anything, it's just a quad. And if I select all and Control T, that turns everything into triangles, which it works better for collisions, because if it's all rectangles and quad, it's just not going to look good. So now once you've done that, click tabs, go into object mode, and you're done. So let me show you how to import it in the game. So the first thing you want to do is save it, obviously. It doesn't matter where you save it, just save it somewhere. This is just a .blend file, so you can open it back up anytime you want. I'm just gonna save it as So now you want to click slash to unhide everything, and then go to File, Export, Collida.dae, and find that file from the start that you imported everything from. And now you see that DAE file, just double click it, and there you go. It says exported 78 objects, so that means it's done. But now there's one more thing you need to do to actually have it in the game. Because right now it's just a 3D model that's in the files, but it's not being used. So what you need to do is go into that folder where you exported the DAE file to, and find the body part that you modified. Which for me, is the side skirt. The one thing is, it's not always gonna be like a file named after the part you did it to. Like for example, the side skirt for me is probably under body. So I just wanna go under body, which is called, this is the name of your car, and then body.jbeam. And then right click it, and then open with, and just open it with your Notepad app, which I'm gonna use a Notepad++ because it's a lot easier to view and it's just better. But you can open it with whatever you want. Now once you have it open, if you're on Notepad++, go to language, go to J's, and set it to JSON. So now it allows you to do drop downs and stuff, so it's easier to view everything. Now what you need to do is find the side skirt, which if you're on Notepad++, you can just click the drop down to remove body. But just find wherever it says the vehicle name and then side skirt. And once you found that, find the stock side skirts and just copy and paste them. And once you pasted it, rename it to _BeamNG_kit, or just whatever you want, really. It doesn't really matter. Now rename this. This is the name that's going to show up in the vehicle configuration menu. So when you select side skirts or whatever it is, it's going to show this name right here. So I'm just going to put BeamNG side skirts, or you can name it to whatever you want once again. And once you've done that, there's this thing called flex bodies, which flex bodies are just everything that's in your 3D world. So in Blender, if I go in Blender and select like the doors, the name of the doors, that's its flex body. So for the side skirts, the name of the side skirts, that's the side skirts flex body. So I'm just gonna copy that, go back into it, and there's sometimes if it's side skirts, it might be two for the left and right. I just grouped them as one, so I'm just gonna delete one side. It doesn't matter. And I'm just gonna rename this to its name that's in Blender. And once you've done that, save it, and you can close it. And then finally, moment of truth, you can go into BeamNG.drive. And now it's gonna lag for a little bit. It's just loading up the 3D models. And now, what you need to do is click Control R. And then you can finally add it. And if you did everything right, it should pop up right here. Now there's only one more thing that I almost forgot to do, which is go into Blender and apply the modifiers. The modifiers are the thing on this wrench right here, that if you select the part that you modified, you'll see the weighted normal modifier. And like I said before, the weighted normal just makes it look like smooth and real good. But right now it's only doing that in Blender, and it won't do that in any games that you export it to. So you need to apply it. So in order to do that, make sure you're in object mode, and then click this drop down and click apply, or just click Control A. Now go to File, Export, Collida.dae, and export it to the same file you did before. Now go back into Beam. Now go back into Beam, and once you've done that, it should look good. And that's it. Now the same thing that you did to the side skirts should apply to everything else, like the rear and front bumper. It might be a little harder on those, but at least you know how to do it. If you have any questions, just go to my Discord and ask me. Just like DM me or something, or you can ask in general. And I'll probably help you like as soon as possible. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.